Hey to all the spooks out there. Welcome to Spine Chilling Chats, dear listeners. Both our brave, returning souls and the fresh, unsuspecting ones who just wandered in. If you're new here, every Wednesday we dig up the darkest corners of true crime, history, folklore, and the supernatural to bring you the most spine-chilling chat possible. I'm Ange.
And I'm Manda.
And Amanda's got a story for us today.
Okay, so you guys know my fashion, and this one's been covered several times by other people, and they can get 2 to 3 to 4 episodes for this gentleman. I'm covering Robert Hansen, and it's another birthday one, and it's based on, I guess he's called the Butcher Baker. So he was born February 15th, 1939, which, if you guys didn't know, that's my birthday, not 1939. But February 15th, my birthday.
You look really good for your age.
I know, right? Thank you. But I wanted to cover my birthday because I just, it's my birthday month, so why not?
And I'm so sorry that we're behind on releasing this one. My family had the ick germs all week, and it was rough.
You didn't want to hear what she sounded like.
Yeah.
It was not as bad as me losing my voice, but, it was up there.
Yeah, and my daughter was sick, so she, I just didn't have, I didn't have it in me, so I apologize.
That's okay. We're doing 2 of them now, so you're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, so he was known as the Butcher Baker. And I know that a lot of people have covered him, like I said, more information and all that stuff, but you guys know how I roll, so I'm going to do what I do. He was a serial killer, and he was active in Anchorage, Alaska between 1972 and 1983. He abducted, raped, and murdered at least 17 women. How he did this is many of them were taken but then released. So he would kidnap them, rape them, do their thing. Then he would release them into the wilderness, and then he hunted them like prey. He did that with a Ruger Mini 14 and hunting knives. He was captured in 1983 and sentenced to 461 years of imprisonment without the possibility of parole. He died in 2014 of natural causes at the age of 75. So, we'll get into his story now. He was born in Estherville, Iowa on February 15th, 1939. He was the oldest of 2 children. His mother was Edna Margaret Hansen, and his father was Danish, and he was a local baker, Christian Hansen, or Chris.
A baker that's Danish, like
a
pastry.
I get it. Danish baker. Oh, that's funny. So we just went to Costco, and we got Danishes, and I didn't even think about that.
I love Danishes. Those are one of my favorites.
And we got punchkis. Punchkis. Yeah, we got those too. I was like, oh my God, I need
every
those.
year I see McCree Bakery post their punchkis, and like they're so big, and they got the fresh strawberries, and I want to try it so bad.
Cream,
yeah,
and
I've never had them like that. I've just had the
little store bought. Yeah, they pretty much fucking donuts.
Yeah.
But that's what we got from Costco. They were in the box, and I was like, man, I really want to go and actually get a legit one.
Me too.
When we go to New Orleans, though, we have to make sure we get them. Isn't that where they're at?
No. You're thinking beignet.
Yeah, but I thought that those were
punchkis.
Yeah.
No, that's Polish.
Yeah, but I thought that around Mardi Gras they do the punchkis.
No, they do the cake thing.
Oh.
I thought.
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
The king cake, and it has like the little.
Because when is Mardi Gras?
March.
I don't know. I just thought that it was around the time of Mardi Gras, but that's just what I always thought.
No, that's for Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, which is what I thought was.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know anything.
We'll figure it out. Okay, he was employed at his father's bakery, and he moved to Richmond, California in 1942, and then he returned to Iowa in 1949 in Pocahontas. He was shy as a child. He stuttered, and he suffered from severe acne that left scars on his face. What's that called? Systemic
acne,
something like that. Yeah. He was described as a quiet learner. He had difficult relationships with his domineering father. He took to practice both in hunting and archery, often finding refuge in those pastimes. He enlisted in the United States Army Reserve in 1957 and served for 1 year before being discharged. So that's kind of not a good combination of being bullied and had a stutter and being quiet and then enlisting in the army, because sometimes those kids don't come out right. So we'll see. Well, we already know.
It doesn't turn out well.
He worked as an assistant drill instructor at the police academy in Pocahontas. He began a relationship with a young woman whom he married in 1960. So here are some of his first crimes. On December 7th, 1960, he was arrested for burning down a Pocahontas County school bus garage as revenge for his treatment in high school. He served 23 months of a 3-year prison sentence in Anamosa State Penitentiary, and his wife divorced him during that time. While he was also incarcerated, he was diagnosed with manic depression and periodic schizophrenic episodes. He had infantile personality, is what the psychiatrist had diagnosed him with, and he was obsessed with getting back at people who he felt wronged him. The next few years, he was jailed several times for petty theft. So, like, I get where he's coming from, but he's dead set on, like, you wronged me and I'm going to get revenge. When I feel like some people are like, oh, you wronged me and I'll get you eventually. And like, it's like, karma will get you, but he's like, nope, I'm going to get you. He moved to Anchorage, Alaska in 1967 with his second wife, who he married in 1963. He had 2 children. He was well liked by his neighbors and set several hunting local records. He was arrested twice in December of 1971. First for abducting and attempting to rape an unidentified housewife, then for raping an unidentified sex worker. He pleaded no contest to assault with a deadly weapon. The rape charge involving the sex worker was dropped as part of a plea bargain.
That's bullshit.
Very much bullshit. But that's how it goes for all these serial killers and rapists and violent offenders, is they get caught
And they get off.
and then they get off on something else. Like, it's just complete bullshit. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but after only 6 months, he was released. Of course, because again, that's what happens. They get sentenced, but then they get off early. He was released into a halfway house. He pleaded guilty to larceny in 1976 after he attempted to steal a chainsaw from the Fred Meyer store. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, required to receive psychiatric treatment for his manic depression. The Alaska Supreme Court reduced the sentence, and he was released with time served, which is such bullshit. Again, they had him, and they fucking let him go. He had been believed to have begun killing around 1972. His MO was to stalk women, learn their habits, picking them up with his car and forcing them at gunpoint into his home, where he would rape her, then stab or shoot her. Some of the women were sex workers and some were teenagers. Yeah. They think that his first victim was 18-year-old Celia Van Zanten. She was kidnapped on December 22nd, 1971, and froze to death in the wilderness after escaping her abductor. Her body was discovered on December 25th.
Aww.
I know. How fucking sad. The abduction occurred 3 days after he committed his assault on the sex worker, for which he was imprisoned. While there were similarities with his MO and Van Zanten's abduction, there was no evidence linking him to the crime. He denied the involvement, so of course they fucking believed him. And there's nothing that they did. Yeah, it's bullshit. On June 13th, 1983, he offered 17-year-old Cindy Polson $200 to give him oral sex. She got into the car, he pulled out a gun, and he drove home in Muldoon. I guess that's where he lived at that time. He held her captive and raped her, tortured her. She told the police that after he chained her to the bed, by her neck in a basement. He took a nap on a broke couch. Then he woke up. He put her in his car and took her to the Merrill Field Airport. That he told her that he intended to take her to his shack near the neck. I don't know what that's supposed to be. The river of Matanuska Sestina Valley River, only to be able to get there by boat or bush plane. She crouched in the back seat of his car with her wrists cuffed in front of her. She saw a chance to escape when he was busy loading the cockpit of his plane. Hansen's back was turned, which reminds me, I was watching I don't know if it was like a documentary, because I watch a lot of those, or if it was like a movie about him. And I remember the scene where she was in the back of the plane and he turned around and she got out of the plane and she ran to something nearby, and there was like people there. I remember that. And I was like, so when I was writing this, I was like, I guess I never really put two and two together until I was writing this. And I was like, oh shit. Like
that was a real person.
That was him. That was that thing.
Yeah.
Hansen's back was turned to the plane and she crawled out of the back seat, opened the driver's side door, and ran towards nearby 6th Avenue. She told the police that she had left her blue sneakers in the passenger side of the floor of the sedan in the back seat as evidence that she had been in his car. He panicked and chased her, but she reached 6th Avenue, managed to flag down a passing truck. Robert Yount was the driver. He was alarmed by her disheveled appearance. He stopped to pick her up, drove her to the Mush Inn, which is a hotel or motel.
Ew.
Yeah, isn't that
who wants to go stay at the Mush Inn?
The Mush Inn. She jumped out of the truck and ran inside. She begged the clerk to phone her boyfriend at the Big Timber Motel, and the driver of the truck just continued on his work. He was just like, okay, see you later.
Good luck.
Sorry you were almost killed, but I gotta go. But he did call in the report to the police and the incident. When the Anchorage Police Department arrived at the hotel of Mush Inn, they were so gross because all I could think about is people mushing their bodies together. It's so gross.
It's supposed to be like mush, like
mush
with
the dogs. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Because that's in Alaska.
That's not the way I was taking it. I was like, ugh. They were told that she had taken a cab to the Big Timber Motel. They went to that motel and found her in room 110, still handcuffed and alone. She was taken to the APD headquarters, where she did describe Hansen. He was questioned by the officers but denied any involvement, stating that she was trying to cause trouble for him because he would not pay her extortion demands. He also used this on other occasions. Even though he had several other run-ins with the law, his meek demeanor and humble occupation as a baker, along with an alibi from his friend John Henning, persuaded the police not to consider him as a serious suspect. Detective Glenn Floth of the Alaskan State Troopers had been part of the team. He investigated the discovery of several bodies in and around Anchorage Seaward and Matanuska Sestina Valley area. The first body was found by construction workers near Eklutna Road. She was dubbed Eklutna Annie. She was never identified. Later in the year, body of Joanna Messina was discovered in a gravel pit near Seaward. And in 1982, the remains of 23-year-old Sherry Morrow were discovered in a shallow grave near the neck of the river. Floth believed all three women have been murdered by the same perpetrator. Floth contacted the FBI Special Agent Douglas and requested help with an offender profile. Based on the discovery of the bodies, Douglas thought the killer would be an experienced hunter with low self-esteem. Okay, why this would be a factor of a serial killer doesn't make sense to me, but I'll keep reading and then we'll talk about it. It says the killer would be an experienced hunter with low self-esteem, a history of being rejected by women, and feel compelled to keep souvenirs of his murders, like jewelry and whatever creeps like. He also suggested that the assailant might stutter. That's what I'm like. Why would you assume
that
that
they had a speech impediment?
Right. Like, how do you get, because you're a serial killer, he probably stuttered. Like, that don't make no sense. People who are serial killers stutter. People who are serial killers stutter. I don't get it.
There's no correlation.
No,
Oh.
none. That's what I don't get it.
But did he have a stutter?
He did, though.
Huh.
No, it's weird, right? Like, that he did. So yeah, that just threw me off, because I was just like, what does that have anything to do with anything?
They must have some science behind it.
And that's what I said, which I don't understand why you would think that, but whatever.
Yeah.
He investigated possible suspects until he reached Hansen, who fit the profile and owned a plane. Supported by Polson's testimony and Douglas's profile, Floth and the APD got a warrant to search his plane, vehicles, and home on October 27, 1983. They uncovered jewelry belonging to some of the missing women, as well as an array of firearms in the corner hideaway of Hansen's attic, which included a .223 caliber Ruger Mini 14 semi-automatic rifle, also found as an aeronautical chart with 37 little X's marked on it, hidden behind Hansen's headboard. Many of these marks matched the sites where the bodies had been found and discovered. And then later on, other bodies were discovered at the marks that he had on his murder mat. When he was confronted with the evidence found in his home, he denied it as long as he could, but eventually began to blame his victims and try to justify his actions. Eventually, he confessed he admitted to an array of attacks against women starting in 1971. His victims were girls or young women, usually between the ages of 16 and 19, and not just sex workers, unlike some of the victims who had led to his discovery. His discovery of, whatever that is. So we're going to get into his murders. So, of course, we know that Glutna Annie, she was never identified. So she is just kind of hanging in limbo. And
that's sad.
It is really sad. Celia Beth Van Zanten, age 18, she lived on Nick Avenue in Anchorage. She left her house in the late evening of December 22nd, 1971, and walked a few blocks. She was by the supermarket by Lowe, and she never reached the supermarket. She was reported missing 2 days later. On December 25th, her body was discovered.
Yeah, she was reported
missing 2 days later.
And then 2 days later, they found her body. Not that they didn't report her missing.
No, her disappearance was reported 2 days later.
So nobody noticed she was gone before 2 days?
For 2 days. Yeah.
Man, that sucks.
It says her disappearance was reported 2 days later. Because she went missing December 22nd. 2 days later, she was reporting missing. And then on the 25th, she was discovered.
Man, that sucks.
She was, yeah. Right? How do you not?
Somebody better notice that I'm missing before 2 days. I better not answer my phone for a couple hours, and you better be, where are you? Are you okay?
I posted that thing on Facebook that said something, remember? And it said, if you went missing for a week, who would be the first ones? And I was like, my sister, my dad, Ange.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like you better fucking know. And it's hard because I suffer from severe depression. So like I will go weeks and days with not wanting to talk to people. So if I go missing a lot because like I don't,
but never,
but not like that. I still keep in contact with very, very few people when I have my depression.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever, you might go a day without texting, but if I text you, you'll text back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's never a time when you wouldn't respond unless you're sleeping,
which is all the time. She was discovered on December 25th at the Chugach State Park. Her chest had been sliced with a knife, and she had been bound and subjected to a sexual assault. She was dumped still alive into a deep ravine before dying from exposure. Oh. She's the one that froze to death.
That's sad.
She attempted to climb back up out of the slope, but was unable to do so due to her bindings. Hansen had been accused of killing Van Zanten because of the X on his murder map matched the location of her body, but he denied it. both her death and the other women who were not involved with sex work.
You're already screwed. They found all the evidence at your house. Why not just give the families that peace of mind and let them know?
Right, like you have a map with X's that correlate with the bodies that would have been found.
No, just come clean.
And it's in your house. And those bodies are where the X's are on the map in your house with your weapons they were killed with. Just fucking admit it.
Yeah.
I did it. I'm already caught. You're going to put it against me anyway. Might as well just admit it. Yeah. Next, we have Megan Shaban Emmerich. She was 17. She went missing on July 7th, 1973 in Seward. She was leaving a dorm laundry room while attending the Seward Skill Center, which was a boarding school. And she has not been seen or heard from. She was not seen or heard from since. She left behind all of her personal items, including her identification. Her roommate conducted a 3-day search for her before contacting the police.
Again, why not get the police involved right away?
Right, like I get trying to search for her. Search for her for a couple hours and then be like, all right, I got to call the police. Yeah. Not 3 days. Of course, Hansen denied killing Emmerich, but he did admit he was in Seward on the day that she vanished. Due to an X on his murder map in Seward region, he was thought to be responsible. Apparently, he admitted to a former inmate that he transported Emmerich to a cabin in the Seward region that was only reachable by boat, where he killed and buried her. So again, another X, another correlation with the dead body. Just fucking say that you killed him. Mary Kathleen Thill, age 22, disappeared from Seward on July 5th, 1975. She was driven to town by a friend who dropped her off at a local bakery.
Wonder which one.
Between 1:30 and 2 p.m. A different acquaintance saw her by a waterfall near the home on Lowell Point Road. Of course, she's not been seen or heard from since. Hansen acknowledged being in Seward on the day Phil vanished, but denied killing her. And guess what?
There was an X.
There was an X on his murder map in the vicinity of Resurrection Bay, which increases suspicion about him on the disappearance. He admitted to killing her and discarding her body in Resurrection Bay, according to a former prisoner. So again, denying it, although there was an X saying that he was there, and he said he was in the area. So just, I don't understand how he thinks he's getting away with this, but
because he's gotten away
with all the other shit.
Times.
The remains of Eklutna Annie were discovered buried next to a power line in the wooded area, 1 mile south of Eklutna Lake Road in Eklutna. I hate, like, it's just such a Eklutna. On July 21st, 1980. He admitted to stabbing her in the back after she made an effort to flee from his car. She was either a topless dancer or a prostitute, according to Hansen, who also claimed that she was a first murder victim. Despite his claim that Eklutna Annie might have come from Kodiak, Alaska, troopers think that she might have arrived in Alaska via California. Her body had already been largely consumed by wildlife when she was found. It's kind of sad. So she went unidentified. Her family doesn't know where her whereabouts are because they don't know if she's alive, if she's dead, if she's whatever. And then she was eaten by wildlife. So sad. Joanna Messina, she was 24, went out to dinner with Hansen. So he went on a date. And he's not
attractive.
You said he's an ugly bloke. Mike said, tell her, all right, Nate. Oh, that's so funny. Because he was like, what are you laughing at? I said, Ange. And he was like, what happened? And so I told him. Okay, so she went out to dinner with Hansen on May 19th, 1980, while she was working in Seward. According to Hansen, before Messina offered him sex in exchange for cash, everything was going smoothly. He refused to pay and refused to release her. He drove her and her dog. I don't want to finish reading this one. To a distant place by the Snow River. He struck her with a .22 caliber revolver before shooting her twice and the dog once. Oh. Why did he have to fucking kill animals? They don't do anything.
Never mind the innocent women.
Well, yeah, those two, but like
Let's feel
animals are
bad for the
so
dog.
animals are so like
Yeah, I understand.
He dumped Messina in a gravel pit, the dog and Messina's belongings into woodland, and the gun into the Snow River. On July 8th, her severely decomposed body was found after it had been eviscerated by wildlife. Roxanne Eslin, age 24, went missing on June 28, 1980. She had been residing at the Budget Motel on Spenard Road in Anchorage with her boyfriend for at least 2 weeks. On that day, she was scheduled to meet an unnamed man downtown on 4th Avenue. She's not been seen or heard from since. Although Hansen admitted to killing her, her body was never discovered.
He couldn't tell them where.
So he admitted to killing this girl that they didn't find the body, but he denied killing the people that they did find the bodies. He had a whole bunch of
Evidence against.
Evidence against them. It don't make no sense. Lisa Futrell, she's 41. Oh, so this might be his oldest one.
That's older.
Yeah. They met at a nightclub where she was working and subsequently kidnapped her on September 6, 1980. So, man, he was working quick. Like, back to back to back. She did not go home after her September 7th shift. Her 2 younger housemates reported her missing. Her body was discovered on May 9th, 1984. Wow. 4 years later. Buried next to a gravel pit south of the former Nick Arm Bridge. And it doesn't say anything about Hansen on that one. Just that I'm sure, like, obviously it's one of his victims, but they didn't say if he denied it or admitted it or anything. Sherry Morrow, age 23, told friends she was meeting a photographer who had promised her $300 for nude images on November 17th, 1981. She was never seen again.
November 17th, 1981. That's my sister's birthday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. And happy birthday, Alicia.
Yeah.
You got a murder victim for your
you.
birthday. A shallow grave was discovered by hunters on the banks of the Nick River on September 12, 1982. She was reported missing a year earlier and was identified by the remains. She had received 3 gunshot wounds to the back, and cartridges discovered close to the body revealed that a .223 Ruger Mini 14 hunting rifle had been used to deliver the shots. An odd feature was that although the body was found fully clothed, there were no bullet holes in the clothes, suggesting that Sherry had been naked when shot and had been redressed after her death before being married, which comes back to the dude that fucking killed that girl and put her clothes on backwards. Remember that? You're talking about that, like, if you're going to take your time and you're going to kill someone.
It was my last one. It was the grinder killer.
Yeah.
It was a guy.
A guy.
Yeah,
that's
he
right.
was a fashion student.
And he
had
he would have been
underwear
dressed inside out
and backwards. Yeah.
Like, if he could fucking do it, that guy could have did it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already, like, nobody knows what you're doing and where you're at and what's going on. Take your time and dress them right if you don't want to get caught. I'm not giving you tips or anything. I'm just saying. Andrea Mona Fish, that was her nickname, Fish Altieri. She was 24. She was boarding a taxi to go to the Boniface Mall on December 2nd, 1981. She intended to meet an unnamed male for a photo shoot and to perform exotic dances. She had not been seen or heard from since. Authorities searched Hansen's house and several of Altieri's possessions, including her fish necklace, were discovered. Hansen claimed that after he met her, he threatened her with a gun and abducted her. Blindfolding, handcuffing her, near the Nick Arm Bridge, they took a car to a service road off Palmer Highway. He unbound her there, abused her sexually, and killed her with a .22 Browning automatic pistol. After she retaliated, he then stole Fish's necklace, weighted a duffel bag with gravel, tied it to the dead woman, and threw her off the bridge. And her body was never found. So again, here he is admitting to something that he didn't have to because they never found her body, but not admitting to the ones that they have evidence for. Oh, Sue Luna. That's a cute name. Sue Luna, age 23. She agreed to a photo shoot with a nightclub patron for $300. On May 26, 1982, she met with Hansen in a diner parking lot in Anchorage. The following day, she was reported missing. So, okay, good for them. The following day, she was reported missing. He had abducted and killed her, then buried her near the Nick River. She was discovered on April 24th, 1984. According to Hansen, he had her flee into the forest while hunting her like an animal while she was stripped naked. Luna had been killed via gunshot. The partial skeletal remains of Robin Pelkey, age 19, were found on April 25th, 1984 in Palmer, Alaska, close to the Horseshoe Lake. It was determined that she had been stabbed and shot. It is unknown if this victim was involved in sex work. In October of 2021, forensic genealogy was used to determine her identity, having been known by the moniker Horseshoe Harriet before she was identified. Pelkey was residing in Anchorage when she vanished on July 19, 1983. DeLynn Sugar Renee Frey, age 22. She was last seen sometime in March of 1983, but was not immediately reported missing. She was abducted and killed by Hansen. She was buried as Jane Doe in an Anchorage cemetery after her body was discovered on the Nick River sandbar by a pilot trying out new tires.
What?
That's what it says. Pilot trying out new tires.
Okay.
On August 20th, 1985. It was not until 1989 that she was identified when an Alaska state trooper recognized her jewelry in a case file photo. Paula Golding, age 30, was lured and abducted by Hansen on April 25th, 1983. He drove her to his aircraft, and once they reached the remote spot, she fought him with an attempt to flee, at which point Hansen shot her with a .223 rifle. On September 2nd, 1983, her body was discovered near the Nick River, buried in a shallow grave. She had been wounded in the back, but because her clothing was undamaged, again, it was believed that she had been shot while naked and then clothed before being buried. Cindy Polson. She was 17. She met Hansen in Anchorage, Alaska on June 13th, 1983. After agreeing to pay for sex, Hansen instead pulled a .357 Magnum on her and kidnapped her. She was taken to his home, bound and sexually assaulted before Hansen took her to the Merrill Field, where his airplane was. Hansen left Polson alone in his car while being loaded Hansen left Polson alone in his car while he began loading his plane, threatening to kill her if she ran away. She instead fled towards 6th Avenue, where she was picked up by a passing driver, Robert Yount. Yount took Polson to a safe location shortly after, called the police. At about the same time, a security guard at Merrill Field noticed suspicious activity. Although he made no contact, he noted the license tag from Hansen's car. Police located and interviewed Polson about the attack. So my question is real quick. When he's taking him back to his house, where's his wife? Because it never said that they got divorced, his second wife.
Oh. I don't know. I don't remember from other stories.
Yeah, me either.
My thing is, these women, good for her for running away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they say if they're going to take you to another location, they're going to kill you. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, like he moved her from the house and he was going to take her somewhere else. You're it. That's it.
That's it. So it's worth it to try to flee.
If he's going to kill you anyway, try to get away.
Yeah, because if they're taking you to another location, it's not going to end well.
No. So yeah, and she got away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was smart. Because yeah, like you said, if they take you to another location, you're going to die anyway. So you might as well try to get away. Regardless if you make it or not. If you make it, awesome. If you don't, you're dead anyway.
Yeah, at least you
tried.
Made it hard for them.
Malai Larson, age 28, was reported missing on July 10th, 1981. On April 24th, 1984, her body was discovered in a parking lot close to the Nick Arm Bridge. Teresa Watson was 22 and was last seen in Anchorage on March 25th, 1983. She told her roommate that she was meeting a man who would give her $300 in exchange for a hour or two of company.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Company.
At Scenic Lake, Hansen abducted her and killed her. Hansen was unable to bury her since the earth in the region was still frozen. He abandoned her where she died. Her body was discovered on April 26, 1984. Angela Lynn.
Oh no.
Angela Lynn Fettern.
Except I'm Angela Dawn.
Yeah. No, the other day I was thinking, I was like, I know what it is, but I was like, man, what was Rory's middle name? I can't remember because I know Landon Orion. Like, what was her middle name? And then I was like, oh yeah, Sky. Yeah. And I should know that. I mean, I did know that. But
Skylar.
like, because I got a Skylar, we call Sky, and then I was just like, but for some reason you posted something.
I tagged her in it, Aurora Sky.
Maybe. But I was trying to think of her name before that. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's Sky. And then you posted something. And I was like, that's weird. That's weird that I was trying to think of her name.
And then you saw it.
And then I saw it. Yeah. Angela Lynn Fettern, age 24, was last seen on 4th Avenue in Anchorage sometime in February of 1983. Oh.
Could have been.
No, that was wrong. Yeah, could have been around my birthday.
Yeah.
When I was being born. Oh, okay. She was not reported missing until May.
Oh.
Yeah. The owner of a nightclub reported that Fettern, one of his dancers, okay, so if you know your employee hasn't shown up
for 2 months,
why would you not say anything?
2 months she's been missing? I guess maybe depending on what kind of establishment your club is.
Which
maybe
a lot of these girls were
transient people, that come in.
I was just going to say that.
And then
leave. But if they're dancers and prostitutes, like, I get it. But at the same time, it's still your employee. So, like, at least try to get a hold of her. And if you don't get a hold of her, then report her missing. But not 2 months later, maybe a week or two. If you really think about it.
What made him finally decide to report her missing? Like, you've gone this long.
Right. Why does it matter?
Why now?
She just stopped showing up is what I would, no call, no shows type of thing. Like, people don't care when you stop showing up to work. They don't think that you're missing. They just think, oh, she quit.
I guess
so what made him want to report her missing?
Yeah.
The owner of the nightclub reported that Fettern, one of his dancers, had gone missing. Hansen kidnapped and murdered her. Fettern's body was found on April 26, 1984, on a small lake near the larger Figure 8 lake. Tammy Pedersen, age 20, was a dancer at a nightclub in Anchorage. The last her family heard from her was during a phone call on August 7, 1982, when she claimed to have been offered money to pose for photographs. She was kidnapped and murdered by Hansen. Her body was not found until Hansen confessed and pointed out its location on a map. On April 29, 1984, the body was recovered 1.5 miles from the Old Nick Bridge.
See, and there they didn't have the body. He told them where the body was. So why is he denying the other ones that are on the map
that he clearly is linked to? Because all the evidence points to him. The map is in his fucking house.
I don't understand.
Why are you denying it?
Why is he pick and choosing who he's admitting
But then
to?
you're admitting to people that they can't link you to.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
No. That's it for the victims. So he was arrested and charged with assault, kidnapping, multiple weapon offenses, theft, insurance fraud. The last charge was related to a claim filed with his insurance company over a large theft of some hunting trophies. He used the money from that to purchase his plane. He claimed that he recovered the trophies in his backyard, but forgot to inform the insurance company. So he entered a plea bargain after ballistics tests returns a match between the bullets found at the crime scene and Hansen's rifle. He pleaded guilty of the 4 homicides the police had evidence for: Morrow, Messina, Golding, and Eklutna Annie. And then he provided details about his other victims. He served a sentence in a federal prison, and he had no public publicity in the press. That was part of his plea bargain, is he was not allowed to have any kind of public publicity, like newspapers and magazines and news stations. He wasn't allowed to talk to them as part of his plea bargain. Another condition was participation in deciphering the markings on his aviation map locating his victims' bodies. He confirmed to the police theory of how women were abducted, adding that he would sometimes let a potential victim go if she convinced him that she would not report him to the police. He began killing in the early 70s. He showed investigators 17 grave sites in and around south central Alaska, which were unknown to investigators. There were some marks on his map that he refused to give up, 3 in Resurrection Bay near Seward. They say the suspect of these 2 marks were the graves of Mary Phil and Megan Emmerich. He denied killing them. The remains of the 12 probable 21 to 37 victims were exhumed by the police and returned to their families. He was sentenced to 461 years of prison without the possibility of parole. He was first in prison at the United States Penitentiary of Lewisburg in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania in 1988. He returned to Alaska and briefly incarcerated at Lemon Creek Correctional Center in Juneau. He was also held at Spring Creek Correctional Center in Seward until May of 2014. Then he was transported to the Anchorage Correctional Complex for health reasons. He died on August 21st, 2014, at the age of 75 at Alaska Regional Hospital in Anchorage due to natural causes related to a lingering health condition.
That sucks. Like, he got to live his whole life.
Yeah, because he was 75.
And died of natural causes.
Yeah. Like, I hate... The more I do these shows, the more I do these podcasts, the more I do this research, the more I see these things, I am for, when you are a serial killer, when you are a murderer or a pedophile, I am all for the death penalty. So when you get to live out your fucking life, whether it's in prison or not, and you die of old age, it pisses me off. Like, you deserve the death penalty, and they don't need to be on death row for 13 years. Fucking get them on death row and kill them a month later, because they're a piece of shit for killing these other people who had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Or did anything wrong. Yeah. Innocent people.
Yeah, I agree.
It pisses me off. Fucking kill them.
Yep.
I'm not going to kill him. I'll say, let me kill him, but I wouldn't kill him. But, you know.
Yeah, I don't want that karma.
I don't want that karma either. But I am all for the death penalty.
Yeah, me too.
The more I do these podcasts, the more I'm just like, yeah, you piece of fucking shit. So,
all right. Well, that was the Butcher Baker.
Butcher Baker, Robert Hansen. Unfortunately, we share the same birthday.
Oh.
So,
it's all right.
Sorry to all those families who don't have closure. That's really sad.
It is sad. And for him to hold that information is just stupid, since he gave others away. Like,
yeah.
Just let those families know where their loved ones are.
Like, you're caught, and you're admitting to murders that they don't have evidence for, so you might as well just admit to the murders that they do have evidence for.
Yeah. It's sad.
I mean, he obviously got busted for them. They tied them to him, but it's the fact of the matter that he still denies it.
Yeah.
So, that's all. That's all I got for him.
But if you like this episode and want to hear more like it, you can go to our website, www.spine-chillingchatspodcast.com. There you will also find a link to our store. You can buy some merch from us. We got some cool stuff on there. We also have where you can submit your own stories to us, whether it's true crime you want us to cover, any supernatural happenings you've had, any Bigfoot sightings, anything like that.
Old episodes, did you say that? Pictures, profiles. Yeah. Go to our website. It's pretty cool. Ange does a good job.
You can also...
I'm not computer savvy to do websites and stuff. Like she
Me
does all of
neither.
it.
Me neither. I had to teach myself.
I know, but I just can't. I just don't understand. Like, so she does it all. She does it fantastic.
I try.
So
We also have an email if you'd rather submit your stories that way at spinechillingchatspodcast@gmail.com. And there is no hyphen in spine chilling there.
yes, we also have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok while it lasts, and Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, we're on all the
platforms. But on Facebook and on Instagram, you can also submit stories there if that's what you're more comfortable using. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think we covered all the bases. We got all the things. We're trying to figure it out. So
we're almost to a year mark at this.
Yeah.
Because our first one was May 1st. So it's almost to March. Yeah, a couple months left, and then a year. A year of this.
Go us.
I know. I'm proud that we stuck with it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
So,
well, we hope you come back. We hope you enjoyed. And most of all, we hope you
keep it spooky.
Bye, guys.
Bye.